What's up, everybody? My name's Quinten. I get on the internet, make videos where I talk about stuff. And today I kind of want to talk about TikTok because it just feels like to me that TikTok is actively destroying their own platform, and they're using the TikTok shop of all things to destroy their own platform. So to understand my point, you guys have to be able to see things from the perspective of a content creator, and then you'll kind of be able to understand why the TikTok that you guys are experiencing as viewers is changing. And lucky for you, I'm a content creator. I mean, nobody watches my stuff, but I'm still a content creator, so the point still stands. So, when it comes to being a content creator, in my opinion, there's really, only two types of content creators. Yes, I know there's all these different types of niches. There's people who are commentators like me, and people who are car guys like me, and people who are makeup people like my wife and whatnot, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the specific type of content that you're making, and really, there's only two different types of content creators, and those are people who make educational content and people who make entertainment content. And the difference between those creators actually doesn't really have a whole lot to do with the content that they create, but more specifically with the audience that engages with that content. And so for our entertainment creators, things are fairly simple. Their goal is basically to make a video that makes the audience watch another video. That's all they really want from their audience. And their audience is fairly passive. Their audience is not super active in terms of seeking out the content. They basically open up YouTube, they look at the home screen, they click the button, right? Or they click the video and they watch it. Or they're just on TikTok scrolling and it's on the For You page and a video comes by that they like. They might hit the like button, they might not. They might leave a comment, they might not. Because, well, they're passives. Basically, they are just passively engaging with this content. Now, educational creators, they're kind of in a different world over here because their goal is basically once they have somebody who engages with their audience or with their content, their goal is basically to transition that person somewhere else where they can get more value out of that audience member. So basically, their goal is to create an educational video that provides value to the audience, and the audience, they are very active because, well, they have a problem. They need to figure out how to fix a leaky pipe or their car's doing something weird. So they get on YouTube, they get on Google, they search up the video, and they specifically chose that video to watch. And then that educational creator, when they get to the end of the video and they're done offering you value, they'll ask you to take their class or come look at their real estate listing, or there's all types of ways that educational creators can make money off platform or outside of TikTok and YouTube. And the reason why I just went through all of this is because you have to understand the type of audience that is on TikTok, the type of audience that is engaging with content on TikTok. Those guys are typically passive viewers. They're on the For You page, they're just scrolling, and they're just clicking like on videos that they specifically like. They might search every now and then, but for the most part, they are passive viewers. The problem with that is it's very hard to convert somebody who's a passive viewer into an active viewer that's going to provide you value off platform somewhere else. That's a hard transition to make. And basically, that's what TikTok is asking all of their creators to do with the introduction of the TikTok shop. So if you clicked on this video, I'm sure you probably know what the TikTok shop is, but for those in the back who don't understand, the TikTok shop is basically there is a marketplace within TikTok where you can buy basically anything. I've seen $5,000 robots that will mow your grass all the way down to just random cheap stuff that you see on Temu. And so they have this expansive marketplace, and by doing that, they have moved from basically competing with YouTube to now they're competing with Amazon and Alibaba. And so where that becomes a problem with TikTok is because they have all of these users. They have tons and tons of users, right? But they're all fairly passive, they're engaging with the platform passively. And TikTok now wants to rival Amazon. They now need to sell these products. They need to convert this passive audience into an active audience. And well, the primary way of doing that is advertising. I feel like we're, as a society, over advertised too. And this is where I feel like the TikTok shop is starting to ruin the platform. Like, the more changes that TikTok makes, the more I understand that there's a mismatch between like what and I'm assuming you watching this video and a lot of other people watching this video, what we see TikTok for and how the people who own TikTok see the platform. Because all of us see TikTok as, you know, a platform where you watch vertical video, you know, and with video this direction, not this direction. You know, like that's what TikTok's for, is vertical short form video. But I think what the company that owns TikTok right now, ByteDance, soon to be Oracle, right? What ByteDance sees when they own TikTok is basically, I think they see TikTok as a store that also has a video service like attached on the side, and all of those like entertainment creators are basically just there to like funnel people deeper into the TikTok ecosystem and hopefully get them to buy, I don't know, a pair of Jordans or something off of the TikTok shop. And like, maybe I shouldn't say this as a content creator, but like, one of my like pet peeves with TikTok and YouTube getting bad with this, is ads. Like, the ads are just ridiculous, like very, very, very aggressive. And then now you've taken TikTok that not only has ads, but you're incentivizing the creators to basically just show me ads. You know, like there are entire creators, their entire channel is just basically TikTok shop ads. And I mean, I'm glad they're able to do that and they're able to make a living and all of that. And like, as a viewer, that's not like why I engage with content. I don't open TikTok or YouTube to be like aggressively advertised to. I open those platforms, and especially TikTok, to just be entertained. And so like, with all of the changes that TikTok is making, they are consistently just asking creators to transition from that, you know, entertainment side over to that educational side. And I again, like I said, education does not mean, you know, we go sit down and learn you're real good. Like, educating you about a product still counts as an education video, right? And so they're asking creators to transition over there. And I have lots of thoughts about that as both a viewer and as a content creator, because like, well, I guess let's talk about like on the content creator side. I think, for one, if you're de-incentivizing people to make content that they care about, content that they find interesting. Hi, how are you? Why do you look like that? And like, the thing is, as a content creator, and I said this in the last video talking about creator monetize, making content is not cheap. I mean, it can be. Yes, you can just start with an iPhone, but the more invested you get into it, the more you start doing like I'm doing right now, where you're buying lights and expensive cameras and editing computers and all of that, you know, and like, it slowly like spirals and gets out of control and it gets real expensive real fast. And so because of that, you want to make some money, you know, you at least want to like like cover the losses. Why am I doing the 6-7? And so because of that, like, you at least like want to cover the losses. You don't want content creation to be something that like every time you click on your camera, you know, money just flies out of your wallet. And so like, you're going to pursue working with a platform that at least gives you some monetary payout. For me personally, I'm not in the creator program, so I may not be the person to have like the biggest amount of insight on this, but the payout on TikTok just isn't a lot. You know what I mean? Like, the CPM or the RPM on TikTok is fairly low. I hear a lot of people talk about it being like $1 to $2, right? Whereas like, my CPM or RPM on YouTube is almost 10 times as high. So in terms of how much you get paid per video, you get paid far more on YouTube. But then on the opposite side of that, TikTok gives you a lot more discoverability. And so you could make the argument that there is money to be made there. You just have to basically go viral. The problem is that most people are not going to make a viral TikTok. Most people are going to make a TikTok that gets, I don't know, like 1,000 views. So you're not really like raking in the dough as like a small TikTok creator. The biggest way that you're going to make money as a small scale TikTok creator is by being a TikTok affiliate and selling stuff through the TikTok shop. It pays substantially more. In fact, I've gotten offers, and I don't even have a good TikTok. You know, like my TikTok is bad, but like I get these in my email all the time, people saying like, hey, you should make a video about this and we'll give you 20, 30, 40% commission, right? And that would substantially pay out more than what I would get through the creator program on TikTok. And like, I'm sure you're like connecting the dots here because it is more profitable to be a TikTok seller than it is to just be an entertainment creator. But if you're on this platform or you're a content creator and you're not making any money, like I said, you're not making nearly anything on making these entertainment style videos because either A, people aren't watching them, or B, because they don't pay a lot, you're going to incentivize people to stop being creative. You know, like there's only a certain amount of creativity that people will continue to display at cost to themselves. You know, like people aren't going to continue to pay all this money for lights and cameras and all this stuff to make videos that they're not going to pay for. The more that they are basically pulling back on incentivizing people to just get on TikTok and make content in general. And the more they're incentivizing a specific type of content, and that specific type of content are TikTok shop ads or TikTok shop demonstrations or whatever you want to call them, right? The more they incentivize that, the more you're going to have creative people leave the platform. And I feel like all of the changes that they are making to this platform are fundamentally changing what TikTok is at the end of the day. TikTok has always just been, you know, that platform where you go to watch vertical video this direction, not this direction, this direction. And they're very short form videos. They're very like inconsequential, right? And that has always been the draw and appeal of TikTok. It's for lack of better terms, a time waster. You know, like it's a time waster app. And I mean that's what most people want it to be. But I think from TikTok's leadership standpoint, so we're talking about ByteDance and I guess in the future, Oracle. So, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But in their leadership's viewpoint, I think what they see TikTok as is basically a monetizable asset that is primarily a marketplace that has like this video component on the side of it. And the goal of the video platform is to funnel people into buying something from the store. And like that's the problem, is that TikTok basically kind of like bait and switched us. They started out over here as purely entertainment, and like, yes, we were okay with the ads because, you know, you got to pay bills and whatnot. But like they've slowly been advancing the ball over here to the point where now it's primarily an advertising website. It's primarily basically just, you know, our generation's version of QVC, even though all of us just sat around and made fun of old people for, you know, sitting there and watching the television and looking for something to buy on HSN. But we're doing the same thing on TikTok. Like it's literally just the same thing. And I think Amazon is kind of the perfect example of how they should have done things differently, because Amazon does own Prime Video. And yes, they do advertise Tide Pods to you in Prime Video. But when you are watching a television show on Prime, the goal is primarily to make a good television show that you get hooked on. And by being on their platform, by association, then you will find yourself interested in buying those Tide Pods from Amazon. When you look at how Amazon runs their video platform, the videos and the movies and the TV shows are the most important thing. It's the content that brings you to the platform, and they know that. You know, that's why they have shows like The Grand Tour, Fallout, all those random Medea movies. You know, like they have content galore because they know the way they get you to engage with their platform is by having the best content. And I think that's where TikTok should be prioritizing, is they should be prioritizing just having undeniably good content that only comes from TikTok, because that is what's going to keep people on the platform. When people open the app and, you know, you have all of the normal traditional ads from Shake Shack and whatnot, right? But then 40%, 50% sometimes I open up TikTok and these videos are all just ads for the TikTok shop. it really makes me not want to engage with the platform. The more TikTok Shop ad videos they put in the platform, the less I watch TikTok. And I don't think I'm alone on that one. And to like go back to like our Amazon situation, if Amazon with one of their TV shows, like, I don't know, like Man in the High Castle, right? If they had did a whole episode about like trying to get a grass stain out of Joe's shirt, and the resolution of the episode was Joe found Tide Pods on Amazon, people would be irate. People would be really, really upset about that. And I think people feel the same way about TikTok. Like, I don't hear a lot of people talking about boycotting TikTok, but when you talk to people in real life, what they often say is that, like, oh my gosh, there's just so many ads on the platform now. And I think they're going to burn people out over time. Now, the question will be like, how does things evolve once TikTok changes ownership? Because TikTok was sold, or they will be sold, or they're not sold. I don't really know. But at some point, like, they're gonna fall underneath the Oracle umbrella. And when they do that, I know a lot of people have made like all these assertions that if you block Oracle, your entire For You page changes. I, I don't believe in that conspiracy theory, but I do believe in the conspiracy theory that actually, time out.
Not if I have anything to say about it, and I do.
All right, so this is my personal conspiracy theory. So, like, no science or math here. You're not going to be able to go find an article from The Verge that like backs this up or anything. This is just my personal experience being a creator, and other people's experience being creators too. I feel like when Oracle takes control of TikTok fully, we will see them essentially just supercharge the TikTok Shop platform, and I foresee them doing that by aggressively wielding the community guidelines and the community moderation tools, by basically censoring and suppressing users or content creators that do not create content that makes TikTok money in the way that they want to make money. And so, for those of you who don't know me, which is probably everyone, this isn't my first rodeo on YouTube. I actually have two other YouTube channels. They're focused on car content, so if you're interested, subscribe over there. But I've been doing this for about 2 years, and I have about 4,000 subscribers across all my channels, right? And everybody always says like, oh, well, you could grow just so much more, man, like if you were to just open up a TikTok. Like, here's the thing, like when I started the YouTube channel, I started a TikTok at the same time, and in the amount of time I've grown to over 4,000 subscribers just on YouTube, I've only been able to get like 140 subscribers on TikTok. And everybody wants to know, like, why is that the case? And I think when it comes to growing on TikTok, it's just like what I said in the last video when we were talking about growing on YouTube. You have to make a video that people want to watch. So like, I get that that's the first part about making content. I'm not just gonna get here and be like, TikTok's not giving my video reach. The problem that I have with TikTok is it feels like they are actively going out of their way to censor and suppress my videos. So like, ever since I started my TikTok, every single post gets 4 community guideline violations, and they just never make any sense. Like I said, I am a car content creator. Like, I work on my cars, I upgrade cars, I interview other people about their cars, right? But every video I post, I get a community guideline violation for sexual activity, I get a community guideline violation for low effort content, I get a community guideline violation for violence and gore, and I get a community guideline violation for community guideline violation. They never explain what the fourth one is, but I always get the fourth one, right? And so like, if you look at my content, like I'm out here explaining to people like how to upgrade the brakes on, you know, their older BMWs. Like, I don't know how any of those guideline strikes apply. But that's like been the case ever since I've been on TikTok, and I appeal, and I'll say about 60% of the time they usually deny it and they keep the video removed. And for the 40% of the times that they don't, you know, like remove the video, they usually put the video back, but they age restrict it. So like because of that, TikTok, I've always said this, TikTok is not worth my time as a content creator. But the funny thing is that it's not only me that this happens to. I've been seeing more since Oracle has purchased TikTok. More people have been saying this.
A 3,800% decrease in TikTok revenue. That's what I'm seeing as a creator right now. It used to be $1.15 per thousand views, and now it's 3 cents for some reason. As someone who has been doing this for 6 years, do not listen to these coaches trying to sell you the glamorized content creator lifestyle.
It pains me to say this, but guys, I am leaving TikTok for a few days. The censorship on this platform is getting out of hand. One of the biggest news stories of the decade just broke, and I can hardly cover it. 5 videos removed in 2 days. And they don't even just remove it. They can now just make the videos ineligible for recommendation. And just look what that does. You guys won't even see it. Bro, sometimes I feel like I am at war with the platform that is supposed to be my ally. To date, they have tried to permanently ban my account for reasons we still don't know. They've dropped my RPM down to the lowest amount possible, 0.01 cents. They routinely, unfairly take down videos, some of which take entire days of research and editing. They don't give me a reason for the removal, just community guidelines. And sometimes they even block me out of the appeals process by just glitching the page. Brother, do you not want me on this app? Every man has his breaking point, and
why is TikTok not paying their US creators anymore? So you are an employee of TikTok and they're not necessarily laying you off, but they're cutting down your cost towards them. The reason you're seeing right now that the TikTok shop creators are getting more traction, making more money, rather than the ones who are just regular creators who create content that's over a minute in hopes of drawing an audience that would then pay them out per view, is because TikTok Shop is one of the two channels that TikTok uses to generate revenue, and it is the better of the two because they don't have to put out as much cost towards it when generating this revenue.
Did I miss a memo about the creator rewards program? Because my RPM has dropped dramatically over the last couple months, and I don't think there's been any significant changes in my content. I never really had a particularly high RPM, but on average, it used to, land somewhere around 50 or 60 cents per 1,000 views. My last few videos have literally dropped down to 4 or 5 cents.
So you take this fact that you have people out here making actual content, getting erroneous community violations, right? And then you add in on top of that, that TikTok has dramatically lowered the payout in the creator fund. It was over $1 at one point. And now I hear some people talking about it being 3 or 4 cents per 1,000 views, right? So the payout is way lower than it used to be. I think what TikTok is doing is they are trying to suppress content that does not direct users to the TikTok shop. So if you're like me and you're just making basically videos for, either entertainment or just for car enthusiasts, right? Or just there's no funnel for my video, there's no end game, I'm not trying to sell you a course, but on the other side of that, TikTok isn't able to sell you something out of the TikTok shop, right? I don't know that TikTok wants that content on their platform. And it's almost like what TikTok is saying is that if you are not a TikTok seller, or if you don't just have some hugely undeniable audience. So we're talking about a Linus Tech Tips or one of those just huge channels. It feels like if you're not one of those people that are either sellers or just bringing this huge audience behind you, TikTok does not value the content that you were bringing to the platform because it does not make them money. And because of that, they're trying to forcibly get people to stop making that content. And it feels like the way that they're doing that is by not paying people. And then secondly, when people aren't being paid but are still making the content, it feels like they're just barraging them with all of these different community violations in goals that hopefully they, just give up, that they just stop making the type of content that they are making and either leave the platform or they become a TikTok seller. I don't know how I feel about that. If that's how TikTok wants to run their platform, I think they need to say that. but it just doesn't feel transparent. It feels like on the one end, TikTok keeps saying like, oh, well, we want all creators to be on our platform. But what it really feels like is what they're trying to say is we want all the creators on our platform to be TikTok sellers. If not, we don't want you on our platform. And so that's pretty much all I really have to say about TikTok. I don't think TikTok's gonna like up and disappear overnight. But to me, like all of these changes that they're making, they are ruining the platform for viewers like me who are resolved to just basically be passive viewers, and people who just want to go on TikTok and be entertained. And I mean, I hate to say it, but I think the reason why they are doing that is because at the end of the day, maybe viewers like me, maybe TikTok isn't meant for us, and TikTok always knew that. And I don't know. That's all I really have to say about that.